Greatness has nothing to do with talent, and everything to do with pain. That's not what you were told, right? We're raised to believe greatness is born, that some people are just built differently. Smarter, stronger, destined. But Marcus Aurelius would have laughed at that. He wasn't chosen by the gods. He wasn't some flawless monument of virtue from the start. He was a man, thrown into power, surrounded by chaos, battling fatigue, betrayal, and the crushing weight of his own emotions. Yet somehow, he became one of the greatest rulers in history. Not by chance, not by luck, but by forging himself, day after day, with the fire of discipline, clarity, and self-mastery. This isn't just about a Roman emperor. It's about you and the quiet war you're fighting every day, the war within. So here's the question no one asks. What if greatness isn't found in winning, but in what you choose to fight for when no one's watching? In this video, we'll uncover the 10 habits Marcus Aurelius lived by, not to impress the world, but to command himself. And if you stay until the end, one of those habits might just rewire how you see your entire life. 1. Pursue excellence, the daily choice that defines you. You won't wake up excellent. No one does. Excellence isn't a talent you're born with, it's a decision. A decision made not once, but over and over, especially when no one's watching. Marcus Aurelius understood this. Despite being born into privilege, he didn't rely on fate to shape him. He chose to rise, not because it was easy, but because the alternative, becoming a slave to his impulses, was unacceptable. Picture this. It's early morning. You hear your alarm. The bed is warm. Your mind is foggy. And that little voice inside whispers, 5 more minutes. Now pause. This exact moment is where greatness begins. Not in crowds, not on stages, not in battlefields, but in quiet, private choices like this. Marcus wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being." He saw life not as a comfort zone, but as a workshop of the soul. The pursuit of excellence doesn't require dramatic gestures. It's in choosing to listen more than you speak, to breathe when anger rises, to open the book instead of scrolling, to show up when it's easier to give in. These aren't heroic acts, not at first glance, but do them long enough and they become your hero's journey. Because true greatness isn't earned in one giant leap. It's built brick by brick, in silence, in struggle, and in solitude. So ask yourself, what do you choose when no one is watching? That's where your path begins. And if you walk it long enough, the world may one day call you great. But you'll know, you just chose excellence, one difficult morning at a time. 2. Reflect every day, the mirror that reveals your true self. Most people go through their day without ever checking in with themselves. They react, they rush, they repeat, and then they wonder why life feels empty. But Marcus Aurelius, he refused to live that way. Night after night, pen in hand, he confronted himself on the page. He didn't write to impress, he wrote to understand. Because self-reflection isn't about journaling for likes or crafting a perfect story. It's about facing the raw, unfiltered truth of your thoughts, your actions, your emotions. Try this. At the end of today, before the noise of the world floods in again, sit in stillness. Ask yourself not, what happened today? But why did I react that way? What triggered me? Did I live according to what I claimed to believe? That's where transformation begins. Not in chasing more, but in seeing clearly. Marcus once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And how do you see that color? You look in the mirror, not the one on your wall, but the one within. This daily ritual, quiet and unglamorous, is a weapon in a chaotic world. It builds awareness. It sharpens clarity. It helps you notice patterns before they become chains. And the best part, it's always available to you. No matter where you are, no matter how broken the day felt. You can always return to yourself, to learn, to adjust, to realign. So before you close your eyes tonight, ask the question most avoid. Did I live today with intention, or did I just drift? Because while the world may judge your achievements, only you will ever know the truth of your effort. And greatness, true greatness, grows in that honest space between who you were and who you are becoming. 3. Accept people as they are, the freedom hidden in letting go. Let's be honest. Some people just get under your skin. They're rude, selfish, loud, ignorant. And every time they cross your path, your peace evaporates. Why? Because deep down, you expect them to be someone they're not. Marcus Aurelius faced this too. He led armies, ruled an empire, and still dealt with people who lied, gossiped, disrespected him. Yet, instead of resisting the reality, he embraced it. He wrote, "Whenever you are offended at someone's fault, turn to yourself and ask, what fault of mine most nearly resembles this one?" That's not weakness. That's wisdom. See, every time you get upset at someone for being who they are, you give them power over you. You become a prisoner of their behavior. But when you accept people, not because they're right, but because they are, something shifts. You stop trying to fix, to change, to control. And in that release, you find freedom. This doesn't mean tolerating abuse. It means recognizing that your peace matters more than your preference. Think of life as a grand theater. Not everyone plays the role you want. Some enter to teach you patience, others to sharpen your boundaries, some to test your pride. All of them essential. The Stoics didn't see people as problems to be solved, but as parts of the whole. Even the jagged pieces belong to the puzzle. So next time someone frustrates you, pause. Don't react. Observe, breathe, and ask, is my peace really worth trading for this moment? The moment you stop needing people to be different is the moment you start mastering yourself. And mastery, not manipulation, is the true path to greatness. 4. Refrain from complaining, the silent saboteur of inner peace. What if I told you that every time you complain, you're giving your power away? Not to the weather, not to traffic, not to the rude coworker or the long grocery line, but to your own mind, the part of you that resists what is instead of working with it. Marcus Aurelius, burdened by war, betrayal, plague, and politics, had every reason to complain. But he didn't, because he understood something most people never will. You don't control external events. You only control how you respond to them. Complaining is the illusion of control. It feels like doing something, but in truth, it's emotional noise. It changes nothing but drains everything. Your focus, your energy, your dignity. Picture this. You're stuck in traffic. Again, late, frustrated. Your mind floods with curses. But what if, instead of spiraling, you paused and asked, what can I do with this moment? That question turns chaos into clarity. Suddenly you have options. Breathe deeply. Listen to that audiobook you've been putting off. Reflect. Recharge. Reclaim the moment. This is not passivity. It's precision. The Stoics weren't emotionless statues. They felt, but they chose where to put their emotions. There's a difference between complaining and correcting. One vents, the other builds. One is reaction, the other is action. So the next time you're about to vent, pause. Not to suppress your feelings, but to redirect them. Ask yourself, is this complaint going to move me forward or keep me stuck? Because every complaint is a fork in the road. One path deepens your bitterness. The other strengthens your discipline. And when you start walking the second path again and again, you'll find something waiting for you at the end. Peace, clarity, power, the kind that no delay, no disappointment, no person can take from you. 5. Focus on what truly matters, because most of what you do doesn't. Here's a brutal truth. Most of what you do today won't matter in a week. You scroll, You reply to emails that lead nowhere. You say yes to things you resent. You chase noise, appearances, urgency over meaning. And then at the end of the day, you wonder why you feel exhausted, yet strangely empty. Marcus Aurelius, centuries ago, saw this trap. Even as emperor, with every demand pulling him in 10 directions, he asked one piercing question. Is this essential? Not convenient. Not impressive. Not urgent. Essential. Because greatness isn't found in being busy. It's found in being brutally selective. Imagine your life as a room. Every object inside represents a commitment, a desire, a distraction. Now look around. How much of it is clutter? Meetings you don't need. Opinions that don't serve you. Tasks that keep you occupied but not fulfilled. The modern world rewards the overwhelmed, the multitasker, the always-on. But Marcus knew better. Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. Not scattered, not reactive, laser-focused. Here's your challenge. The next time a notification pops up, a favor is asked, or a decision calls you, pause. Ask, does this move me closer to the life I want, or just keep me busy? Because every yes to something meaningless is a quiet no to what truly matters. Your growth, your purpose, your peace. And in a world addicted to more, the real rebellion is less, done with clarity. 6. Practice gratitude and virtue, even when life feels unfair. Let's be real. It's easy to be grateful when the sun is shining, the paycheck clears, and everyone's treating you right. But what about when life feels like it's falling apart? When the storm hits, most people curse the sky. The Stoic looks up and says, thank you. Why? Because true gratitude isn't about comfort. It's about clarity, the ability to see meaning in the mess. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. That wasn't a motivational quote for good days. That was a lifeline he clung to while ruling a crumbling empire, losing children and battling plagues. Gratitude, for the Stoic, is a weapon forged in hardship. It sharpens your mind, keeps your soul from rusting into bitterness. Try this. Next time you're tempted to ask, why is this happening to me? Flip it. What virtue is this moment calling me to practice? Courage? Patience? Integrity? Because every challenge is a gym for the soul, and every virtue you build becomes part of who you are when no one's watching. Don't wait for life to be perfect to feel grateful. And don't talk about values, live them. In traffic, in heartbreak, in failure. That's where your character is forged. So the next time the day goes sideways, remember, you don't need the world to get easier. You need to get stronger. 7. Always keep learning, because the moment you stop, you start dying. Here's a paradox most people ignore. The more you think you know, the less you grow. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, ruler of millions, still carried his notebooks, still sat at the feet of philosophers, still questioned himself. Why? Because he knew something we've forgotten. Power without wisdom is dangerous, and wisdom without humility evaporates. In a world obsessed with appearing smart, Marcus chose to remain a student. Not just in youth, not just when it was convenient, always. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you truly let your beliefs be challenged? Not defended, not tweeted, questioned. Most people build fortresses around their ideas. The Stoic builds bridges, not to defend their identity, but to expand their mind. Learning, in this sense, isn't about collecting facts. It's about collecting perspective. It's not about being right. It's about becoming less wrong every day. Try this. Read one page that humbles you. Have one conversation that stretches you. Ask one question you don't already know the answer to. Because every day you choose to learn is a day you refuse to settle. And in that refusal, you evolve. Marcus didn't chase wisdom to impress others. He chased it to survive himself, to navigate ego, to rule justly, to suffer with grace. You may not rule an empire, but you rule something far more fragile. Your inner world, your choices, your path. So keep learning, not because you're not good enough, but because you refuse to stay the same. 8. Forgive yourself and others. Let go or be dragged. Here's a truth few are brave enough to admit. We don't suffer because people hurt us. We suffer because we keep replaying it. The betrayal, the mistake, the thing you said or didn't say. It haunts you, not because it's still happening, but because you never let it go. Marcus Aurelius, betrayed by generals, tested by family, attacked by those closest to him, never clung to resentment. Instead, he asked, "Does anger do me any good? Will resentment undo the past?" Of course not. Holding on to pain is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. But here's the twist. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about freeing yourself from the weight they left behind. Think about it. You mess up. You dwell. You relive the failure, the embarrassment, the shame. Now ask, would you speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself? Probably not. So why do you deny yourself the same compassion? Self-forgiveness isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It says, I am not my worst moment. I can learn. I can move on. And when it comes to others, remember, you don't have to approve. You don't have to forget. But you can choose peace over poison. Forgiveness is setting down the emotional baggage you've been dragging for miles. It's not pretending it didn't happen. It's saying, it happened, I lived through it, and I refuse to let it own me anymore. So if you're carrying something, a grudge, a regret, a version of yourself you can't love, maybe today's the day you put it down. Not because they deserve peace, but because you do. 9. Put your ideals into action, because knowing means nothing without doing. Everyone has ideals, but very few live by them. We say we value honesty until it's inconvenient. We praise courage until fear knocks at the door. We preach kindness until someone gets on our nerves. So here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't believe in your values until they cost you something. Marcus Aurelius didn't just write about Stoicism, he embodied it. When the empire shook, when betrayal cut deep, when death stole his children, he didn't just think like a Stoic. He acted like one. He didn't ask, what sounds good? He asked, what's right? And then he did it, regardless of praise or pain. Because living your values in silence, when it's hard, when it's thankless, that's when they're real. So ask yourself, you say you value discipline, but are your habits reflecting that? You claim to value integrity. Do you still hold it when no one is watching? You admire humility, but do you actually listen when someone challenges you? This isn't a call to be perfect. It's a call to be consistent, to align your actions with your soul, even when no one's clapping. The Stoics believed that virtue isn't about speeches or reputation. It's about being the same person in the dark as you are in the light. And here's the thing. You don't need a title. You don't need a stage. You don't need the world's permission to make an impact. Every small choice, to be honest, to be kind, to be brave, sends ripples into the lives around you. And those ripples become your legacy. So don't just admire great people. Become one, not through words, but through action. 10. Restore your balance. You're not broken. You're just out of tune. Let's get this straight. You're going to mess up. You'll lose your temper. Skip your workout. Ignore your values. Say something you regret. And that's okay, because the goal isn't perfection. It's returning to rhythm, again and again and again. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He wasn't a flawless emperor. He was a man constantly tuning his soul like an instrument. He didn't demand perfection from himself. He demanded alignment. He wrote, "If you fall, get up. If you delay, begin again." If you wander, return. There is no shame in stumbling. The only tragedy is refusing to rise. Imagine life as music. Some days you play in harmony, focused, kind, strong. Other days, you miss the beat, loudly, painfully. But what defines a great musician isn't never missing a note. It's the art of coming back in with grace. So when the chaos hits, when you lash out, when you relapse, when you forget who you are, don't spiral. Recenter, recalibrate, recommit, take a breath, apologize, adjust, and start again. Because greatness isn't built on momentum. It's built on resets. You are allowed to begin again, not because you failed, but because you are human. And each time you rise after falling, you build resilience. Not the cold, emotionless kind, but the quiet, persistent strength of someone who refuses to give up on themselves. So here's your final reminder. You're not here to be flawless. You're here to live fully, to stumble, to reflect, to return stronger and wiser each time. That's the Stoic way. That's your way forward. 11. Master your emotions before they master you. Let's be honest. Most people don't have emotions. Emotions have them. One moment you're fine. Then someone says something, and suddenly, anger floods in. Your hands clench. Your thoughts spiral. Your day derails. Why? Because you didn't choose your reaction. It chose you. Marcus Aurelius faced this too. He had armies to command, traitors to confront, citizens to protect. But his real battlefield? His own mind. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He didn't suppress emotions. He observed them. He dissected them like a surgeon. Not "I'm angry," but "Why does this anger control me? What belief is underneath it?" That's not cold. That's courageous. To feel something rising and say, "I see you, but you don't own me." Most people justify their outbursts. The Stoic investigates them, because until you understand your emotions, you'll always be at their mercy. Try this. Next time you feel overwhelmed, pause. Don't react. Reflect. Ask, is this feeling pointing to truth or just an old wound? What would my best self do right now? This isn't about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally sovereign. The Stoics weren't cold-hearted. They just refused to let temporary storms wreck permanent peace. So when the wave of feeling rises, ride it with awareness. Don't drown. Don't deny. Direct. That's mastery. And in a world that rewards reactivity, being calm is a revolution. 12. Embrace discomfort. Choose the hard thing on purpose. Most people pray for comfort. The Stoic prepares for discomfort, and sometimes even chooses it, because Marcus Aurelius understood something that modern culture avoids. Comfort weakens. Struggle sharpens. We've been taught that the good life is one without pain. But a life without resistance is a life without depth. Ease is seductive, but it leaves your soul untrained. Think about it. You avoid the cold, so your body grows fragile. You avoid confrontation, so your truth goes unsaid. You avoid the hard choice, and your potential dies quietly in the background. Marcus didn't run from difficulty. He welcomed it like a teacher. Whether it was grief, war, or failure, he asked, "What virtue is this hardship trying to build in me?" And here's what most people don't realize. You don't need chaos to grow. You can create resistance on purpose. Wake up early when your mind begs for sleep. Say no when people expect yes. Start the conversation that scares you. Sit in silence instead of grabbing your phone. These small acts of chosen hardship, they forge strength, the kind that doesn't waver when life inevitably tests you. So here's the challenge. Do something hard every day. Not to suffer, not to impress, but to build the kind of person you respect. Because if you avoid discomfort now, discomfort will come for you later, uninvited and unforgiving. But if you embrace it now, You won't just endure life's storms. You'll be ready for them. 13. Serve something bigger than yourself. Ego fades, legacy stays. You weren't born just to pay bills and chase validation. There's something deeper calling you, and Marcus Aurelius knew it well. He had power, status, the whole empire at his feet. Yet his greatest pride wasn't being emperor. It was being in service to something higher than himself. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." He didn't chase greatness for applause. He carried the weight of duty for his people, his principles, his soul. Not out of ego, but out of purpose. And here's the truth most avoid. When your life is only about you, it shrinks. But when your life points beyond you, it expands. You don't need to be a philosopher or leader to serve something greater. You serve it every time you show up for your family. Every time you speak truth when it's easier to stay silent. Every time you lift someone up when no one's watching. Ego says, "Make them notice me." Purpose says, "Let me make a difference." So ask yourself, what are you building that will outlive you? What pain have you turned into purpose? What story will your actions write when your name is no longer spoken? Because true greatness isn't about being remembered. It's about living in a way that deserves to be. Serve something bigger than your mood, than your image, than your fears, and you'll discover something ego can never offer. Peace, meaning, and the kind of legacy that echoes beyond time. Conclusion: the journey begins now, not later. You've just walked through 13 habits that shaped one of the greatest minds in history. But here's the truth. Knowing them isn't enough. Quoting Marcus Aurelius won't make you strong. Wearing a Stoic hoodie won't make you wise. Watching this video won't change your life. Only you can do that. And not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. But now, in the middle of your real, messy, ordinary life. Because greatness doesn't arrive. It's chosen moment by moment, in the quiet spaces where no one's watching. It's in how you rise from failure. How you speak when you're angry. How you carry yourself when things fall apart. That's where philosophy lives. That's where you live. So start small. Write. Reflect. Forgive. Focus. Say no. Stay present. Serve something greater. Not all at once, but a little better, a little braver, a little more conscious each day. And remember this. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to return again and again to the path. Because Stoicism isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you already are, beneath the fear, the noise, the doubt. Thank you for walking this path with us. This isn't the end, it's just the beginning. And if this video lit even the smallest spark in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's ready to take ownership of their life. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because this journey of self-mastery is far from over. Drop a comment below, not just to be heard, but to connect. Your struggle, your story, your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Until next time, stay grounded, stay awake, stay stoic.